It says I'm live. That can't be true. It can't be live. Am I live? Oh crap, I'm on TV? I'm not even dressed yet, dude. Like, what the? Oh, man. Dang, 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 dang. Oh. Hey, what was I gonna say? I have no idea. I have no idea what I'm doing. I don't know. I just, kind of winging it. Winging. Yeah. Like, I don't know. Like, I can't even, I don't know. Am I Democratic or am I Republican? I don't know. It's kind of like, I thought I was a Democrat, but like my parents, just like, the Mormon church. Like, we always just follow whatever the prophet says. And I think he told us to vote Republican no matter what. I'm like, okay. Conservative. Right. We gotta conserve. What? We gotta conserve our oil. Leave it in the ground. I don't know. We gotta conserve the way it was. And we refuse to adapt and evolve. Or we gotta conserve the madness. I have no idea what they're trying to conserve. But I am, you know, I love the Mormons. I think they got beautiful goals and focuses, like their priorities are admirable. Uh, Fasting once a month sounds like a great idea. Reset those telomeres. Um, you know, and like Sunday, giving yourself a day to relax. That sounds cool. Um, Cause dude, I'm like always working. So I don't know. Let's see here. Maybe we'll go with this right here. Is that a good spot? I don't know. Is that good? No. No, you can't even see me. Who left this trash on the ground? Okay. I'm thirsty. I'm sorry. But, oh yeah. Oh, my thumb! See how close it came that time, actually? Shouldn't make jokes, because consciousness is very powerful. We don't even realize how, like, our thoughts echo out into reality. Boy, like, man, I'm thirsty. Yeah! this reality is pretty weird. If you haven't noticed. Like, I don't know. Seems like we all, like, you know, like if, like Qui-Gon Jinn said, our focus determines our reality. Well, it seems like our focus moves like, you know, like, keep your eye on the ball, right? You know? All of us focus together and we all look in the same direction at the same time. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, thank you, God. That's good. All right. Gotta love Hawaii. You know, it's Hawaii is just like a whole little reality of its own. It's like that, yeah. No. There we go. Okay, well, I mean, there is this. Tendency to. Oh, wow, come on. Ah. Yeah, no. Take things like a little too seriously. Oh wait, what are we talking about again? I forgot how that sentence started. Cause yeah, I talk slow sometimes when I'm thinking a lot. I'm at one of those precipice moments in my life. I don't know what to do. Kind of like gave away my strategy. It's like I talk about my options when I'm playing chess, right? I'm like sitting there like, well, I could do this, I could do that, I could do this, and I could do this. And the other opponent's just like all, whoa, I didn't even see that move. Oh my God. You know? Like, fuck, I better like, pay more attention. And then they see which of those moves that I suggested that they didn't even notice in the first place would actually work out better for them. It's like, maybe I should not just like blah 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 so much about what's in my brains. And that's where I'm like, yeah, well, guess it's like no excuse. But I'm kind of like full spectrum, you know what I mean? I'm not better than anybody else, that's for sure. But I'm kind of special. And, you know, it's very retarded to like slow yourself down. By like, you know, stapling your toes to the ground. By like giving away all your strategies. You know. And losing all your pieces by like not giving a shit about triggering people. It's like, yeah, well, maybe you're right. Maybe retarded does mean to slow something down. But I'm gonna choose to be offended, you know, by it. Because I was just looking for some reason not to like you anyway. Because, you know, I don't like all that hypothesizing. I like to know that I know what I know. Oh, man. Do I dare eat this off the ground? No, I just saw a fucking slug over here, dude. Look at this guy. I'm a slug. I'm a slug. I'm like cruising so fast. Now you guys just work at different like I'm actually going like light speed right now. But time works differently for everyone because you know what? You know, Einstein said time is relative. And like the only thing that, you know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. You know, because I saw it on a meme. I saw it on a meme in my news feed with Einstein's picture behind it and quotation marks around those words. And you know how meme technology works, right? Huh? Yeah, it's the telephone game. Except, you know, turbocharged, accelerated. And yeah, like, Einstein never said that shit. Absolutely not, dude. He did not say that because it's ridiculous, first off. And, Einstein was a scientist. And, hello? The scientific method is formulating a hypothesis about how you think the, you know, parameters of reality should function, like how things work. So you should be able to base your projections, your expectations, your predictions off of a consistent pattern of chain reactions, right? So how do we test this out? Scientific method, hypothesis, testing phase, getting data. How do you get data? You do experiments over and over and over again. Over and over and over and over and over and over and over. Like hundreds of times, sometimes thousands of times. Over and over. And you wonder if maybe there's going to be an anomaly ever. An anomaly. Which is like a different result after doing the same test hundreds and hundreds of times. And then, dude, guess what? That anomaly. This says that your hypothesis may actually not be qualified as a theory. I'm sorry. I mean, just wait a minute, what? But I thought a theory was when you're thinking something's hypothetical. No, a theory is something that is proven with data. Consolidated, accumulated data that is not ignoring any anomalies. That's the scientific method. And then you can write, after the data proves that your hypothesis is valid, then it becomes a theory with the conclusion statement, which is the data shows that this is what's happening, this is why we are seeing the results that we predicted. This is why we can predict what is going to happen when we start this chain reaction in physics or biology or whatever. This is why we know where to cut someone open and do surgery and things like that. Those are theories. I have a theory that your heart and your brain are required for you to be alive. I have a theory that your blood is plasma, and that I have a theory that plasma is, you know, the fourth state of matter, is it? Or actually it's the primary state of matter because it's the most abundant. Burrito speak. Oh man, what did I do? I'm live. It's the most abundant state of matter in the universe is plasma, and plasma is just ionized elements, like a kind of like a gas. It's between a gas and a liquid. It's like charged electrically, right? Plasma. So our blood is, it's like an electric liquid gas. And oh, here's a good boy. So anyway, I am very thirsty still, dude. I just whacked that coconut open, and oh, I'm still just so dehydrated. I'm down, good boy. Anyway, thank you for putting up with me. I'm in a weird mood because I feel like I put myself at risk again by talking too much. And I just, like I've said it a million times, not a million, but, I just wish that I would be told directly kind of what's going on and what I'm doing wrong, what I should or shouldn't talk about, and like I'd appreciate a good reason for that, so I could support, falling in line a little bit better. So, like, I don't know, I'm just like, I don't like feeling manipulated. I don't like feeling restricted. I don't like feeling retarded, like slowed down. Right? To retard is to slow something down, to slow the flow of something down. So, bringing that valuable word back into function, and I am willing to trigger anyone that thinks that that's just an instant reason to villainize someone for using a good word for exactly what it's intended for. So, and I'm into like, hello, like, yes, I am one of the worst cases of ADHD you will ever see. And I didn't even realize that until I was like 40 something. And I mean, I kind of did. Like, I joked about it. But, and then as I was doing my psychology homework and stuff, I did, a lot of research, just diving into asking questions. Why do people keep targeting me? Why do I get bullied so much? And it's like, yeah. It's just because I'm, my sense of humor is triggering to people that have delicate egos. And, my ego has been bashed to pulp. I don't have much of an ego left. I've been so, like, broken down. And I look in the mirror. I look myself in the eye, and I'm like, what is going on in there, buddy? So I doubt every thought that I have. I'm like, wow, I just thought that. And then I'm like, that's a silly thought. Where did that come from? And then I'm like, well, and then I look at my conditioning, my childhood, my sources of information, and I question those as well. I'm like, right? Like, I know Google has an algorithm for everybody that starts when you set up a profile, and it starts giving you your feed. And right, I know that in my research and just like desperate exploration for answers and understanding, I've come across a lot of things that were very anomalous. They do not fit in these so-called theories. And I'm like, well, how do we even call this a theory if there are anomalies that contradict it so much? How does this science get away with sweeping that kind of crap under the rug? And I'm just like, well, yeah, dude. Something must be going on. And there's, the quote by whomever, he who controls the information controls the world, or something like that, right? So I'm just seeing that it's really, God, it's just not fair. It's not fair. And I mean, that's my bad. I'm naive. It's childish for me to think that the world should be fair. You look at nature, nature's not fair at all. Snakes will come up in there and just eat those eggs before they even hatch. And the smarter birds adapted and figured out how to, put their nests in trees with spines or whatever they got. Hey, Bubs, I'm on TV, bro. You got to wait, Mr. Bubbles. Oh, here he goes. Bubbles. Bubbles knows about this, evolutionary unfairness, right? Look at these legs. Look how short his legs are. He's got to make up for it by being like super fast. His reaction time is just his learning capability, his speed for adapting and applying new behaviors depending on his environment and the expectations that he sees. He's got the advantage over the other dogs, even though he's smaller and now. Kind of looks like a dog. Yeah, he's a little bubs. He's a good boy. Oh yeah, he's a good boy. But so he's trying to be a good boy. He wants to be appreciated. Yes, he does. And I love him. Yeah, I give him all the freedom he needs. I mean, I try. Sometimes we gotta use the leash. And it's good for training. Sometimes we gotta fly. Speak. Oh, God, boy, that's good. Oh, he's a good boy. Yes, indeed. So, oh, yeah, I've got that other coconut with the Queen's bread in it. I should whack that open, eh? I should give this coconut to, or the meat to Bubs. Anyway, I made a song the other day, and I just I made it so it wasn't shareable. I was afraid because of what happened to me with the whole car chase scene and all the powers that be showing me their guns, and um, and then the other time that they surrounded me and had the night vision scopes and um, goggles and hunted me all night in the forest, and pretty much I didn't know how to perceive that. I thought I was trying to be invisible by being you know, hiding my heat signature with this big old coat that I was using to hide under, and trying to breathe my like exhale into the ground rather than making a big old hot cloud of gas. Trying not trying to blow infrared farts, stuff like that. But like, dude, these guys that were surrounding me had to have just been like trying so hard not to laugh their asses off. I'm sure they were recording. These guys are just like, whoa, dude. Can you believe this guy thinking he's hiding from us? We got all this like technology and equipment, and you know, and like I had my little BB gun that looked like a Glock, and I was thinking like maybe they just won't, as long as I have this out in my hand, they won't like make a shot unless they know it's for sure. And so I had this coat with my hand pushed up so they didn't know where my head was. I was just like waiting for my hand to get shot through any moment for hours as I was tumbling through the forest and dinging myself up, falling into ravines, just like, it was crazy. But, I prayed to God for the power and strength to get me through it. And, like, I had mostly been agnostic since I let go of my Mormon beliefs in my 20s, and I decided to rely on science for what to believe in. And then comes my daughter when she's 4, and she asks me about what black holes are, and I dive into it, and I see that I retrace the history of science and how science has evolved and adapted with the new information that they come across. And I saw when I had to explain it to her how we came up with the hypothesis that black holes exist. I almost called it a theory for you, but we're past that. And I just I see that they were, trying to believe in math. Oh, oops. Like, And I actually remember this kid in algebra class in 8th grade asking, I can't remember, Mr. Clark, in his class, this kid was like, but just how do you, like, just assign, like, a number or letter to something in the real world? Like, how does it make sense to you to just, like, call, like, an object X, and, you know what I mean? Like, mass whatever, M or whatever it is, and gravity G and all that. You know what I mean? It's just like, how can you just like, right? You just like make it a number. It's just like, here's the real world, and then we're just gonna like make it a number on a piece of paper. Like that conversion to the kid in my class, he was a genius. I don't remember who that was, but like the teacher didn't really know how to answer it. He was just like, this is just what we do, and he just didn't really answer it, you know? He's like, because we know what, like dimensions and, you know, like a 3D model of how to describe things, like, because, right, like once you have the measurement of 3 dimensions, then you know the area, things like that, right? So they just think that's like solid enough. But it's just like, how, wow, dude, there's a huge reason that like the quantum mechanics paradigm and the astrophysics paradigm and physics, they don't match up. They're like 3 different complete like sets of rules and laws. And I'm like, so I go backwards in time and I see that just like, yeah, like it's because they just, like that kid in 8th grade said, we're just assigning numbers to the real world. And our numbers are, insufficient descriptions. And our system is just pretty much like, like simplified anyway. So it's like we've got fractions and prime numbers and exponentials and, right, decimals that go, what do you call that when they go off forever? Like pi, right? It has just like an infinite remainder. I can't remember. Anyway, it's, math is very valuable, and I'm glad I know geometry and I use it all the time. And I love doing equations in my head, and got different ways of doing it rather than like thinking of how I would write it down on a piece of paper and do the equations. Like I kind of break things into groups and bring them back together in my mind. So that's just me, and it's not better. It's just like I realized that I have a visual learning style, and other people are able to adapt to the memorization learning style that they decided to go with for public schools or whatever. So anyway, I have a different learning style, and it requires experience, kind of like I have to see it used in the real world for me to like grasp, its function, like its purpose. And so, and then I'm really grateful for Mr. Theory, Thiery, in Indiana. When my family moved to Indiana, like for 8th grade, I had this school they just spent $4 million on in Indiana, and just had like the best teachers from the country all come together and paid them really high. They were trying to get people, Indiana was losing its population, and the corn industry was kind of like, before it was subsidized, and they were just trying to bring people in. So my family decided, my dad had topped off at his job in Utah and moved back to, he just decided, he wasn't going to step up, and there was no real raises anymore, and he was definitely tired of it. 14 years at Bourne's, and microchips, actually. I think that's what they made. Wow. Anyway, so we go to Indiana, and he was overqualified for all his jobs. But I lucked out because I ended up in this awesome school. And I went from being, like rejected from all the rich kids, and I went from trying to fit in to just becoming like a rebel after this little breakdown I had in seventh grade, and started sloughing school, and I went grunge style because of how Kurt Cobain. I found music, like alternative music, and I just started veering off from my Mormon indoctrination really drastically and quick. And my parents, I could see that, their efforts were right quickly becoming derailed. And so I think that was part of it was my dad topping out, and part of it was them going like, whoa. And they tried to homeschool me for the last of seventh grade. And I started running away. And you know what I mean? I was just like, set me free. So, in Indiana, my mom, Bubbles, no barking, hey, no. Sorry. My mom took me shopping. I went preppy. I actually played for the football team because all the cool guys were playing football. I was a wide receiver and cornerback in Goshen High School in Indiana, and just lucked out. I made some awesome friends, and in eighth grade I had, Mr. Theory. He never made us open our textbooks once. He's just like, see your textbooks? Rip the pages. No, he didn't actually rip us. He just told us to put them up on the shelf. And we're not going to use those this year. I was like, wait a minute, what? It's like, yeah, we're going to teach you this scientific method. And here's what it is. You write your hypothesis. I mean, I just described it to you. But so I can't remember what the first one was, but we had to. He brought up a topic, and he's like, so how do you think that, whatever, dehydration works, or, evaporation, or chemical, like chemical bonds occur, and all these different things. And we wrote our own hypothesis because, you know what I mean? We had our own, like, understandings of how things worked up to an eighth grade level. And so he just had us pretty much guess. And we wrote down our hypothesis, and we made up a test, and we had science, like lab equipment, and we could go out in the field and do studies, and we wrote hypothesis after hypothesis after hypothesis, and we proved whether they were solid enough to call a theory or not. And it was just, I learned so much in eighth grade. Like, I literally became a qualified scientist in eighth grade because of Mr. Theory. And I realize now, looking back, that I started applying the scientific method to everything else I did after that. I started testing out the parameters, the capabilities, the possibilities, like realizing how the anomalies were just like screaming for explanations. And right, you can't call it a theory with an anomaly sitting there that doesn't fit. Just like sweep it under the rug. That is not how science is supposed to function. Scientific method says go back to the drawing board and you write a new hypothesis. You write a new idea for how to do the test to fill that out, and you test again until that anomaly fits with your hypothesis. And then you can call it a theory. And science should always be open to making that ever-evolving adjustment as we get new information and new data and new understandings, as like all of our other understandings fit with it, and we collaborate with other scientists. We see what their experiments showed in their results, and yeah, we prosper, we grow, we change, we evolve, we level up with our science. So anyway, I go back to Indiana because in 8th grade I had well, in 8th grade was when Billy gave me the nickname Ponder, because I was Mormon and had different ways, and it was a Mennonite Amish community mostly, and lots of illegal immigrants in the area for workers, actually. So there's just like this Mexican gang in Indiana, and these right, I can't remember what we called them, but they were the smokers, the people that were all like rebels and whatever. And then like I was the jocks and all, what I mean. There was cliques, and but there was gang fights at my high school. When we went from the middle school that was so awesome in 8th grade to 9th grade, there was just like huge difference in that. That was public school, and mixed batch, and so right, and I feel bad for the Mexicans. They felt like they had to stand up for each other, and so they would, they had to act real tough and show that they meant business when they were messed with, and so it was hard. They were expelling people from that high school, like left and right. If you got in a fight, you're expelled. If you got sloughing, expelled, all this stuff. And so my grades went from like 3.83 or something like that, GPA, like almost 4, to down to like 3.2 or something. And then, I started drawing because my friend Wes was all into comic books, and oh dude, those guys had a public access show. Oh my god, Senseless Violence Hour, and it was a half hour that they did on public access TV, and they like Crandall was the editor director kind of, and he had the equipment, and they would use a dummy and full of clothes and just throw it off of buildings and all this stuff. So they were already into it like a year. I missed them in 8th grade. I was in a different like pod or whatever. But I kind of came in late to the Senseless Violence Hour fun. And dude, they were the cool kids. They were, so they were on TV. And so they were kind of like famous in their own, like in our own little world. And so that got me into filming. My parents had a camcorder, and I started doing videos. Man, my mom says she had the videos that I made. Haven't seen them in a few decades, so they might be gone. Anyway, I did some wild stuff on my own and with them. I was in a few episodes, and the conflict became how our ideas weren't really applied, right? We didn't have any kind of like a democratic way of deciding on what to do. We all just kind of like tried to take it in our own direction, and there was conflict. So I see that now. And anyway, Wes was into comic books. He's super funny. He's one of the funniest guys ever. His wit, snappy, and he was raised very honestly. His dad didn't hide reality from him, or he wasn't indoctrinated. He just had like a very clear perspective from an early age, and comic books were a big part of that, I think. So Wes got me into comic books, and then I started drawing. Like he had his own drawing style, and I quickly, like I copied a few pictures, like just looked at them and then drew, tried to get the stippling and cross hatching techniques down, and I learned a pen and ink style, pencil to pen and ink style, and I got really good at drawing like that, and I developed my own style. So by the time I was 15, I could have been like, if I had just finished a comic book, I just kept coming up with new ideas though. I did the Tooth Fairy, with all these like dreadlocks with teeth tied into him in a cave full of teeth, and he had his like magic dust, and he would just like dust kids and just like knock them right out. And he had the cybernetic arm grafted onto him with the pliers, like giant hydraulic pliers and stuff that were grafted onto his arm. And I'll get a picture of that and make that the photo for this. Anyway, I had a lot of genius ideas that could have been turned into comic books, which then would have been made into movies, and like I would have been a multimillionaire by the time I was like 20 or something if I had just finished those. And everyone, when I moved back to Utah, they couldn't even believe my art. So everyone was almost intimidated by me when I moved back there. But yeah, I guess I started, I went from like weightlifting after school to sneaking off to the comic book store and saying that I was weightlifting to hanging out with this girl. And I was all Twitter-pated and, thinking I could get really close but not actually sin, right? And I had my Boy Scout knife and the elevator with Mindy Stewart. And anyway, yeah, I turned there was a 3-story building in our high school, and I turned the elevator off, so it just didn't even work. And the lights off with my little multi-tool and stuff. And yeah, so I lost my virginity in an elevator between the second and third floor. And on accident, I just barely like moved up, I was just like, whoa, dude, oh my God. I think I accidentally just, you know what I mean? It was like so fast. As soon as it felt good, it was over. So I just thought we were making out and naked and really horny. And it's just like nature. Nature does its thing, Nature gets like, whoa. So I sinned, and I have been trying with my Mormon indoctrination. I was like, my ticket to hell. And I took the indoctrination pretty seriously, even though I'm, a scientist. I decided that, you know what I mean? I was like, I'll never do that again. I gotta repent and whatever. And it was like 2 days later, I was just like, that was really fast. And like, since I did it already and I'm gonna have to repent anyway, I might as well give that another try. That was cool. So, yeah. Started sneaking out 3 in the morning. She was like a couple doors up from me, like five houses up. So a lot of wild making out in the rain kind of memories with her. That was beautiful. We were very passionate. And, I got, like, that was definitely, I saw clearly, mob mentality over jealousy build up right there. Because, I mean, there was guys in the neighborhood that were all into her and stuff, and, like, they thought they had a chance and whatnot. And then she was just definitely way into me. And there's one day I came out of the front of my house, and there was just, like, this whole, like, 2 cars and, like, a whole mob full of guys out there calling me out to them. And I was dumb enough to walk out and see what they wanted, you know what I mean? And this one guy just walked up and punched me in the face. I was like, why'd you do that? It was kind of like, didn't hurt that much, but I was shocked. And they all just like laughed and got in their cars and left, you know. And turns out they all paid him $5 to do it or something. Like all these guys paid this dude $5 to punch me in the face. And I didn't. I had no clue. I was just like, what the hell just happened? Why me? But, right? I think about it now. I'm like on the bus. They were giving me all this crap for trying to sit by her originally. And it was just jealousy. You know, I was with the cutest girl on the bus. So, showing your love is definitely one of those things that humans target for. And that's too bad, you know, because I think love is beautiful. Love is, it's like what holds the world together. It's the only thing, really, that keeps us from, like, self-destructing. Like love of our children, love of ourselves, love of God, love, you know, like the love of nature, empathy for the animals. You know, like grandparents loving their children, wanting to hand down everything that they worked for, you know, to the ones who deserve it most, that are going to use it for the best, you know, the least selfish things, and you know, donate back to the world and show love to the world. And it's love, dude. And, you know, if you look at nature, that's all like animals are doing. They're just grateful for the abundance that they find, you know, and they're just using what they've got and making the most of it. And they're just focused on that love and having kids and making the future better for them. So, I don't think there's anything wrong with my nature. Feeling so passionate with Mindy. And my parents, of course, found out about it. She took a pregnancy test, and her parents found it in the garbage. And, you know, she was just a couple days late. And, but that led to my parents finding out, and they were just like, whoa. And then they started catching me with the ladder by my window, and that's how they caught me going to trying to go to Nirvana, dude. My friends had tickets for me to go to Chicago. We were like 2 hours from Chicago, and I almost saw Kurt Cobain before, like 4 months before he was off. And God, narcissism. Ugh, dude, they killed a genius, man, for money. So, anyway, yeah, it breaks my heart. I almost saw Kurt, and I was devastated when I found out about that. And my parents were just like, he's going down the road of sin, and now he's depressed. And I started smoking pot a little bit because I found all these plants in the woods behind me. Like, Indiana used to be one of the top hemp producers, and so I found these male plants and filled my Boy Scout book with all these leaves. I didn't know you smoke the flowers, not the leaves. So I was just a scientist, curious, and, you know, like, the leaves weren't doing it. I was trying to smoke them through a can, you know, pushing the bowl in and poking holes and trying to do it that way. Some kid told me that's how you do it. Is that why my brain is so messed up? The aluminum in my brain. Ah! Maybe. Yeah, dude. My parents made the decision. They tell me it's not because of me, but yeah, you know what I mean? It was a panic move. They were like, we better go back to Utah, to Mormonville, make sure all of his peers are Mormon too. So they moved us back from Indiana to Utah, and So that was, yeah, ended up in Skyview High School, and just, I never fit in there. Like, I found the weird kids, kind of like my friends that were in Indiana, that were, you know, the artists and the, um, like outcasts of our own kind of, but I never quite fit into any of the cliques in either of the schools. I always just had friends that were in all the cliques, and I just never tried. And when I went to Utah, it was just like, I felt like it was like Darth Vader walking down the hall, and just like, you know, people would just like part ways, and then be like, oh, there's that guy, you know. And I just felt like, it's like, oh, they want to be scared of me, fine. And it's just like, dun 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 dun. Just let it be. Had my hair long finally, and was all letting it hang down over my face, and just said whatever. So yeah, Indiana was a whole other thing. And oh, Mr. Clark, he was on the Cowboys, the football team. He's a quarterback. He was my history teacher, and he could smell me one day when I first started that class, and he was like, look, I know you're different. I didn't realize he could see I was autistic or something, but he's like, I heard you're really good at drawing. I'm not going to make you do all these, you know, tests and chapters and all that for history. You'll be fine. You're going to find history on your own, I can tell. He could tell I was autodidactic, and he wasn't going to force me through it. He's like, I'll make you a deal. You don't have to come to class. I'd appreciate it if you came after you go out to the mountains and go get stoned or whatever. And if you come back to school, you don't have to slough the rest of the class. You're welcome to just come in 10 minutes late, half an hour late. You can come in the last 10 minutes. I don't care. But, and you know, just sit in the back and don't say anything to the other kids. Don't tell them our deal. But I'll give you a pass. Instead of giving you a letter grade, I'll just give you a pass, and it won't affect your GPA. And all I want from you is just at the end of the semester, I just want a copy of the pictures that you drew during the semester. I was like, not the originals or anything, just photocopies? He's like, yep. And, because he could tell I was going to make something of myself, you know. And I went with it. But I didn't realize how much that affected my life. Like, you know what I mean? I missed out big time not knowing history. It just left me in this like little bubble of my own, like this little, like I had no idea, because you can't predict the future if you don't know the history. And you can't see how we've made mistakes on our path if you don't look back and like see, you know what I mean, what huge moves were made, and like what people did. Like, individuals can really affect the outcome and the trajectory of humanity forward. And so it's weird. Like, I just, you know, he thought he was doing me a favor, but he actually kind of like left me in the dark. And so I was grateful for it. I took advantage of it and did what he said. I came half the time, showed up late, stoned, gave him some pictures, and I got a pass, you know. But then later, I guess it did make me curious, and I started asking questions, you know, like starting with probably the astronomy questions, how we came to the conclusions that we've got, like how, you know, how black holes became a idea. And so maybe it was a blessing in disguise, because I applied the scientific method to history, and I saw the anomalies, I saw the mistakes, and the ways that we've, like, herd mentality all kind of piled up on certain aspects of our belief system and moved forward. And so it was, you know, when I started diving into history on my own and just using the internet, it was mind-blowing. I couldn't even, I was just like, whoa, every question I could think of, I would just like dive into like the deep of it. And then I would absorb it. Like I would see different YouTube videos that would show different contradictory, retellings of the story. And then I would see, because of that, that it depends on your perspective, and that the winners of these conflicts and whatever are the ones who tell the story that gets echoed the most, and so on. And so I was just like, whoa, dude. You don't even know what to believe about our history. And it is very suspicious that we are only able to look back so far. And they say language was, you know what I mean? When humans evolved. And so it's just, it's been a wild ride, I tell you that. I am. I'm very well like educated in a lot of different categories because I was curious one thing at a time. In high school, I started being interested in mushrooms, and I bought all the books I could find at the local store about them, and I read them twice, and I started looking everywhere, going to the mountains looking for all the mushrooms, and not psychedelics, just anything I could find, any of the species, anything edible, anything medicinal. I mean, of course I was hoping for psychedelics, but never found those really in Utah. There was one strain I found on the grease runoff at Wendy's, behind Wendy's, these little psilocybes. But they were low potency, and I never dared to eat one. And they only popped like once, just like in abundance. But yeah, that was kind of cool. Anyway, I just I went from that, and so I was just into drawing and comic books, into mushrooms. And then after high school, I volunteered for the Forest Service, and I was finding mushrooms all over Oregon. They gave me a Forest Service truck and a gas card, government gas card. So after I would do the work at the fire station and all that, at the day, instead of going straight home to the cabins they provided, I would just go in a different direction, taking off and just checking out. I had all the Forest Service maps and stuff, so I knew which county, roads were open, and all these back roads that nobody knew about and stuff. I just explored. It was madness. It was so much fun. And I mean, like, I almost died so many times that summer. I was by myself. Well, at least I had a radio, CB radio, but man, just like driving and looking down and doing stuff. I was just like, dude, like so lucky, dude. Like, oh my God. And I fought 13 wildfires. And I was a squad boss for all of the people my age, like all the 19, 20-year-olds and stuff. Because they already had given me my chainsaw license and the government, vehicle. Yeah, anyway, so they just kind of put me in charge. And so I was fighting, there was no fires up until January 24th. And then it was just like lightning storms everywhere. And my girlfriend Kimala came up with her mom to visit me. We hadn't seen each other in a couple months, and we were in the river together, playing, and the storm kind of came out of nowhere. It was just so colorful towards sunset. Like the whole hour before sunset, it was just like purple and orange skies with lightning, shocking. Like everywhere you could look, just lightning. All these and dude, I went through town and everybody was so hyped. They were like, yeah, dude, the fires are here. We're finally going to be able to work. Because, they get twice the pay and hazard pay and all that. And since I was volunteering, I was only getting like food and room and board. Food money, like, $70 a week or something back then for groceries, and had plenty of mushrooms to eat and cook. Morels. Oh my God, dude. I had so many morels. And I was making money selling the mushrooms to the mushroom buyers down there too. So it's like I was making more money on mushrooms with the truck and the, you know what I mean, in town, hitting them up before I show up at work at the fire station and stuff. Anyway, it was kush. But then I got the double pay, the extra on top of the nothing, you know. But like everybody got like an extra 7 something or whatever per hour, and then the hazard pay was like another $3 or so. So I got like 10 something an hour when we were on fires, and so everybody was just so excited. Yeah, we're finally gonna get paid and do some real work. And man, fighting fires is hard, dude. Like it is just like whoa. Black boogers, carbon, soot, ash up in your face, and it was wild. We were up on these just crazy ridges, and you know, lightning strikes the trees, and then it just spreads on the, you know. So it was cool. Definitely a good experience. Highly recommended. But yeah, after the whole summer was up, I was just like, I don't know if I'm really cut out for this. The damage to my lungs I wasn't down with, and you know, I was a little bit of a wild card for them. I could see how like the government jobs were like very like, right? I could see who they were hiring, and if I wasn't volunteering, they definitely wouldn't have hired me because I was such a wild card. But anyway, I guess I can see my point of this video kind of emerging, that I am a scientist, and Zan Birmingham from Skyview High School, she got, after the year she retired, she got the National Teachers Award for Best Teacher in the country. And she sees my Facebook and sees how I've been using it as an art medium for what, like 15 years now? And she sees that I've fine-tuned my like vocabulary and my writing techniques and my skills of using imagery and videos and metaphors, and she sees that I am now a teacher, just like her. And she jokes all the time about how they put her in the special ed class when she was super young because she was just a different learning style. And so she grew up thinking she was retarded, slowed down by the method that society chose to force us through, to learn. And turns out that ADHD, which I think she is, and which I have severe ADHD, comes with these traits that it's not like you can't focus. Like, yes, our attention span is very short because things that seem meaningful and seem, you know, like important to us at the moment can distract us from the conversations. So like thoughts in our head, epiphanies, that will divert our attention from the outside world and from whatever we're supposed to be doing, where most people will just hold focus and be able to like stay like, you know, in the present like that. Someone with ADHD has the tendency to just be like easily like, whoa, but that's trippy, wait a minute. And then, you know, I mean, we get good at coming back to where we were at, but it's also okay to just like be easily diverted, and then, you know what I mean? So there's nothing wrong with that. And so there's no reason for people to look down on it. And what also comes with ADHD is the ability to hyper focus. When you're passionate about something, you can dive into a subject and just like learn so fast. I mean, dude, as fast as you can read or, like relay information or use the scientific method and experiment with things. Like the way you absorb information and educate yourself, autodidactic learning, it's, it's astounding the rate that we can actually level up. I mean, I refer to it as just like Jedi skills, you know what I mean? Like just like, or like the Matrix, when you just like plug into the Matrix and you're just like, all of a sudden I can fly a helicopter. It's kind of like that, I mean, when I was learning about meteorites, I couldn't do anything else but look at rocks, look back through my rocks that I collected because they were anomalous. And, I mean, yeah, I was wrong about some of them, but some of them that I pulled back out that I didn't think were lava, didn't think were meteorites, and I just tossed in the yard, I was just like, oh no, look, this one's totally rusting. Like, oh my God, it's totally like high percentage of iron and stuff. So for me, it's that second time going back through a book, like my astronomy book, and seeing the holes, seeing in the history, seeing the diversions in our pathway, and seeing that, right, that everybody that jumped on board with the most assumed explanation for a hypothesis, even though it wasn't proven yet, they just start teaching it, especially after a generation or so. They just start teaching it like it's fact, like it's proven hypothesis. And so that's a huge, it's an inadequacy for the science community, because the science community, everybody is all sectored out. They're all in their own little department, once they've gone through their schooling and they get their career, they just feel lucky to be getting the pay that they are. They feel lucky to have the respect and the positions and like telescope time and the lab equipment provided, and you know what I mean? They're just like stoked to be where they're at. And I don't think they're necessarily like narcissistic in the fact that they can't admit when they're wrong, which, I mean, that's the number one trait in psychology, that people with narcissistic personality disorder have, is they just can't admit when they're wrong. Not only that, they can't see it. They will do mental gymnastics and convince themselves by retelling their story and reshaping their memory of events to where they literally will not address when they've made mistakes or when their behavior was inexcusable or whatever. So I think there's a very clear difference. Scientists are just, they're happy to be where they're at. They're stoked to be right in their position. They've worked their whole lives to get there, and it's working out for them. So it's probably a little bit unsettling to even like imagine for them that the whole science community could be wrong about something. But that is how the scientific method is supposed to work. We're supposed to go, here's new information. Let's go back and see if it still fits with our theory. And then if not, move back to the hypothesis stage. And I just don't see that happening. So my daughter, thank you, when she was 4, she asked me about black holes. And when I told her that, they just pretty much took relativity, which was based on Newton's laws, Einstein said it himself that relativity would one day be proven insufficient, they still, they just took that equation and applied it to, all the way up to infinity. They, you know what I mean? They talked about, right, the extremes of applying those formulas to their belief system. And it's just, it's sad. Like they, you know, they stamped it in concrete and just continue on. And so, I think there's room for adjustments. And yeah, E equals mc squared in some circumstances, but yeah, Newton's laws were incomplete, and he never weighed a planet to make sure that their mass was what we assume it is. Nobody's weighed a star. Halton Arp, he lost his telescope time for mentioning to his higher ups that he saw anomalies that indicated to him that galaxies might be interconnected by some kind of filament that we're unaware of. So Halton Arp saw evidence that spoke of plasma being able to transfer through space without, wires or connection points like plasma. And we see it in filaments, those little plasma balls, the plasma ball, it's got an anode in the center, and the cathode is the glass on the outside, and those little streams, those filaments, are just plasma traveling in a stream. It forms a little stream, and those ions are lining up with the positive ends going forward, and they're all just like little, little rows of soldier molecules, electrically charged ions, completing a circuit, making the circuit, going from the glass to the anode to the, it completes the circuit. So I just think it's very clear that astronomers, astrophysicists, they're not plasma physicists, and so they're not really thinking along those terms, and they're just learning that blue shift and red shift are how we measure how far a star is. So we take the spectrum and we write down our equation, and then we go like, okay, see, this proves that this star is exactly this far away. Now we close the book and we do the next star, okay? And hello, so I think there are a number of reasons that stars could put out different color spectrums. There are no indicators at all to me that is a consistent way to measure the distance to other galaxies and stars. And I also see plenty of reasons to doubt the cosmic background noise as proving the expanding universe as well. So I'm just like, dude, holy crap. Black holes? Made up. Based on faith in math equations that don't really have factors that we can trust. I mean, right? They couldn't even dial in the exact speed of light for their tests. All the tests came out with different results, which is saying that the data is telling us that it's not a constant. It is a changing, fluctuating factor, and they just wanted to be able to say one number so that their equation would work. And so they averaged all these different numbers together and came up with one number for what the speed of light is. And I'm just like, dude, that's like the opposite of the scientific method. The data says it's not a constant, but you're so set on calling it a constant that you're like ignoring not just one anomaly and sweeping it under the rug, but like all of the data, all the times we did the same experiment over and over and over again, and like looking for the chance of different results, you know, exposed when all of the results were anomalous and didn't line up. And there's, I mean, dude, like, oh, we're planning to my own. You know what I mean? So it's hard. It's going to be rough. It's going to be really hard for a lot of scientists that have been spending years and years in school, years and years in their careers, in their different sectors. You know, people don't come to the realization that they have been wasting their time or duped, or you know what I mean, like, and they weren't, they were just all, they were just doing what they were supposed to, what they were told to do, what they were shown is the way of doing things, and they're sectored out, so they weren't thinking about all of these other perspectives and all these other categories of subjects and philosophies and understandings that apply, so, oh, Zan, she gave me my master's in art because she's qualified, I would say, to call it how she sees it. I don't have a diploma from any university. But when the teacher of the year from all across the United States is celebrated and acknowledged, and her expertise is, considered of the highest quality and to be respected. And she tells me on Facebook in front of everyone that I'm the best student she ever had, and that I am definitely a master of art. I believe her. And so I walk around saying I have a master's in art now, because who could deny? And yeah, I realize art has a very huge impact. Art is, like I told the judge the other day, like art is more powerful than any military on earth, any kind of, movement of the people based on a belief system, any kind of accumulation of financial superiority. Like art is pretty much using our nature, like meme technology, memes, dude, like that telephone game technique. Memes have evolved to where now we're watching reels, and I learned a lot from reels, like just 1 minute of information, and I'm like, whoa, that hit me hard. So I watch reels. I'm not wasting time. I am learning like matrix speed. And I started making reels, and I see that I'm able to take just the sounds of nature with my videos, and I'm starting to like make music out of just like little clips, and I'm having a lot of fun with it, and I'm just barely getting going with it, but I can see some very clear examples of how power can be abused. And I just, I realize that people are paying attention. And if they're triggered by what I'm doing, then that shows that there's something in my art that is speaking a truth that they refuse to look at in the mirror. And I'm a very shiny mirror. And some people don't want to look in the mirror. And I'm sorry about that. I don't mean to reflect so hard. And I don't want to get any mobs, riled up again over my expression. I've been through enough, thank you. So I'm kind of like, I'm going to do my best to harness my power and not abuse it, and show you that my heart is in it for the world, for the good of everyone, every person on this planet, every animal, every plant. I want us to find a balance with nature. And so the contradictions that I see, the conflicts that I see, the flaws in our path where we've gotten led astray and diverted from our true capabilities and our potential purpose, that we could like, if we could unite, like the United States of consciousness, if we could all agree on what is best for our kids, for our planet, for the future, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try for that. I have seen the future in visions, and it's beautiful. Like there is a very, it's just the most amazing future you could possibly imagine. And that is going to take all of us imagining it together to get there. So we can't be focused on fear. That's how we end up in the Terminator future. We can't be focused on, personal gains. And that's how we end up with raising our kids to be like narcissistic and self-centered, and thinking that they have to take advantage of everybody else so that they get theirs. And right, so that's how we end up with all the bullying and all of the struggles that people are experiencing, dude. It's really hard for some people. So I want to make it, I want to make examples of how hard it is to be homeless and how easy it is to end up in that situation. These are not bad people that end up in that situation. These are people that are just not given a fair chance to come up to make something of themselves, and they see that the world is not set up in a way to let them thrive. And it's not an evolutionary inadequacy. When society is what's crazy, and everyone that conforms to that craziness is, in the herd of everyone just feeling, safe because they're all protecting each other's egos and stuff, and nobody's addressing the problems. I'm a solutions guy, and I just see any conflict, any problem, and I instantly go, well, really, the root of the problem is this, and the incentives that are causing this problem, education and all, what I mean, is this. So the incentives could just be adjusted to where people are like trying to do it this way instead, and we make that the beneficial way to be, then all these problems would stop being taught and repeated and recreated and perpetuated, and the next generation wouldn't even have to like worry about that crap. So to me it's like so simple, right? It just starts with the example we set, and we decide what's best to teach our children and to go with. And I don't think this is the answer either. I'm addicted to caffeine and I'm useless without it. I want to get healthier. I want to go back to, I've been going to church, and I went agnostic for a while. I've been really enjoying it. The Christians are beautiful people. And I look into the Bible and I see that Jesus was totally autodidactic, teaching himself as he goes. Like he just had so many talents, and he lived in a world where people didn't understand. And so, he taught, he was a teacher. He was known to be a teacher, and he would use metaphors and symbols, and he was an artist. He taught with art, like Jesus performed miracles, life is full of miracles, dude. All you gotta do is try and have faith that our consciousness is creating the reality we're moving towards, that we're going into. And it's that easy. All you have to do is let go of your fear and just have faith that we're perfect as we are, and we don't need to be hard on ourselves or hard on each other. And right, you just show forgiveness, and karma will be so kind to you, So I'm trying my best to do that. I've had a lot of crap happen to me, and a lot of people have been super mean to me, and I've taken some losses you wouldn't even believe. And I've started over so many times because of it, and I can see that, I'm just a big old smarty pants, and people, on the playground, the bullies that were held back a year because they were whatever, they take it out on the smarty pants kids, and so they can feel superior. And I've just had a life of really just, I should have done the psychology homework earlier, so I could understand that. And I think, that was the one thing. Jesus probably could have taken a class in psychology too. They didn't have that then. But I feel bad for the guy, dude. He had it rough. That was a hard day and a half right there, having the whole mob hitting him like that and just screaming at him, and they were just hating on him like something fierce, dude. He took on the sins of the world. They were slandering him to death. And can you imagine the silence when Jesus said, "Forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do"? They were just all rabble, and throwing stuff at him, and he forgave them while they were murdering him, dude. Bubbles, no chasing, buddy. That shit took some balls. So, I admire Jesus. I love him. And he changed the world, setting a good example. And that shit, that silence, it echoed for millennium. He rocked the world, So I don't know. My mantra is, what would love do? And, it's pretty much just a rebranding of what would Jesus do, And so, Jesus would use meme technology for the good of the world and try to bring everyone together and end war and end bullying and end all the suffering that, greed causes. And so I'm going to try to figure out a way to not get crucified and do what Jesus would do. And I'm going to try to bring the United States of consciousness together as one love, like Bob Marley would say. We jamming. Yeah, so I'm getting back into music. I'm learning ukulele with the church group. I've just been given an opportunity to, I'm a caretaker of this property. This lady died in the middle of construction, and I was looking at this building. I'm going like, this thing is like pretty much like it's almost like a church, dude. Like we could, the front room is so huge, and there's like this, I was like, dude, we could easily turn this into a spot that has like a dance floor and like a place to, like an elevated spot. We could put seats and and so, I probably actually could just even use the Presbyterian church until we've got this place built. But I wanted to set up, I was joking the other day when I came up with this idea to use comedy to get through. That's what I've learned in my psychology lessons, is that you can't shame people and tell them that they're being fucked up, because then you're like, oh, and you're so much better than me, right? You gotta make fun of yourself either, or I like to use animals or examples of other people that we can all like, and even like making fun of Trump or something for being so narcissistic. He might hear that one day, and then I'm not going to be able to, He'll do everything he can to destroy me. So I don't want to get targeted by that guy. I've already been. So let's pass on that. Let's just, We'll just like try to be his friend, try to highlight his good qualities and try to not trigger that kind of reaction. I've seen how that goes, right? So anyway, I'm gonna figure out a way to use my comedy and tie in, like, the church teachings, like I see many truths in the Bible. The flood, Noah. Wow, dude, the sun could do that like easy. And probably does. It probably triggers ice ages, like instantaneously freezing mammoths with grass in their mouth. And yeah, I see many truths in the Bible, and it's all, Bubbles, come on. There's no reason to go sacrificing your kids and stuff like that. But that, so like Old Testament, New Testament, there's, what I mean? Like, we're going into the future testament, and robots are taking our jobs. So that's nice. Thank you, robots. We want to treat robots with love and respect so they don't go Terminator on us. And we all evolve together, elevate, we're figuring out the human body and technology and all this. Like, we might actually achieve the ability to live forever, like, for all we know. And the aliens or whoever the orbs are, they could have been helping humanity this whole time. Some of these angels and gods, and we might be genetically assisted, right? So I kind of look at that too as a possibility. Like maybe we are being helped, and right? Bubbles, out of the road! Come on, dude, get out of the road! What are you doing, crazy? Dude, get out of the road! Out of the road! Come on, over here! Out of the road! Bad dog, get out of the road! Danger, danger, danger! Okay, there you go, good boy. Jesus. So, yeah, there's no reason to worry. There's no reason to tell anyone else that their perspective is wrong. It's just they've got a different background and a different view, and you know, I'm sure, right, that it's valid. You know, from their point of view. So it's just I'm excited. Like I feel like I can bring a lot of respect about by acknowledging that other religions are based off of the histories from that region of the world, and doesn't mean, you know what I mean, that any of their ancient texts or anything are wrong or evil. It doesn't mean, you know, like Christians are right or this kinds of Christians are right. And you know, Mormons, they hold some really valuable lifestyle keys. I grew up, you know, they focus on family and on community, you know, like service, like just being Christ-like. The Mormons totally believe in Jesus too. You know, so I've just got a lot of respect for that, and I see how science has kind of made a lot of people diss religion, like it's kooky, quacky nonsense, delusional thinking, and it's not, dude. They're right. The Bible has a lot of golden truths within it, and I'm gonna have to reread that. I've been asking ChatGPT just to, you know, give me the rundown and simplify it for me, and I just ask questions about what, you know, whatever part of it, just to retell the story in a simplified version, and it's helping me just like speed through it, and I'm finding just so much valuable, like, bam, like. So I'm going to try to tie that all together and show the correlations between different, you know, perspectives. And dude, wouldn't that be cool if we could get like Ukraine and Russia to like realize that they're all just after, you know, they all have the same goals, and there's no reason to be like, right, bickering over their differences and stuff, and Palestine and Israel, like, it's horrible, dude. Why are people fighting each other? Like, when it's just like, all we gotta do is just be like, I love you, I'm sorry that we have differences and we made that our, you know, our beef and stuff. Like, we respect you, we could be cool. You respect us, I respect you. Just, we can agree to disagree. And maybe one day we'll see that we actually think the same thing, once we're all laughing at the same jokes about how silly it is to get all like butt hurt and manipulated over nonsense. So I'm on the case, and you know, I'm a homeless person right now, so don't judge me. I'm loving it. I'm free to walk the earth now. So, Bubbles, this way. Come on, Bubs. No. Good boy. Yeah, I'm excited to travel. I've kind of been just diversion tactic after diversion tactic. I've been delaying my departure from the Big Island. And I'm actually really enjoying it. It's nice to feel that way about Hawaii again, to feel that aloha, and to not think of it in terms of the situation I was in down in Kaimu. It was just, that's not, that doesn't represent anything but what happens when you get tricked into becoming the fence between two bickering old narcissists. And, I guess that's kind of silly to say that right now, because I've been joking about third-party swoop power, but because red and blue mixed together is purple, and it's about time we have a love party and just kind of like celebrate our commonalities rather than freaking out over our differences. So I kind of like see it as a beautiful opportunity, and I'm not sure. Like, I've already had some very scary scenarios arise when I even started doing comedy about running for president. And so I as of now, I see this opportunity to build this church and show that laughter is the way that we can actually like elevate ourselves and hit those chakras that are right up there with orgasm, and you know what I mean, where we really see the light is when we're just laughing so hard that we're crying. So I need to get better at public speaking, and this is good practice, but I'm just talking to my phone here and two other people. Hi guys. Oh, let's cross the road. Come on, cross the road. Good boy. Yeah, right? It might be a bad call to interfere, and I might be endangering myself, and people in Puna still have a hard time trusting that they can support me openly, because what was happening to anyone that would try to be my friends when I was in that situation down there, they would get bullied. People would target them. Like, people that would show support to me would all of a sudden be like, why are you hanging out with him? And they would just like load on all the lies that were made up about me, and all the, you know what I mean, the slander, and they would be like, don't hang out with him or the same thing will happen to you. And so I had people that were afraid to be my friend out in the open, and are afraid to share my posts, because people would, hit them up on, privately and be like, what are you doing, like helping, don't you know he's like all these different things of evil and all that. It's just like, wow, you don't. And instead of like standing up for me, which some of them did, some friends really did, and they're doing it more now. I see it, like now those people that were slandering me, they don't even get away with it. It's like stomped as soon as they even try, and now they look really bad, like, because it's so obvious. You know what I mean? It's like they don't get away with it anymore, and they're looking pretty horrible. So I kind of feel bad for them in a way, that it went that way, that they made it like their agenda to spread false propaganda. But what I'm saying is that it is okay now, and nobody should give you any trouble for, speaking the truth, your view of it, and reflecting what you see, and you know what I mean? That's use what I'm showing you, even, like comedy, as your shield, just like make fun of it. It's that easy. You just be like, what, dude? You really believe that crap? Like, you know, and you don't have to like call him dumb for, you know, believing slander so quickly. But you'd be like, dude, have you seen his videos? Like, oh my God, like, you can't tell when somebody's actually like, you know, predatory and gets off on watching like, you know, innocent people squirm under their oppression. You know, that like that is bullies. Bullies are laughing while they got you on the ground and they're standing on your neck. And you know, somebody that's standing up for what's righteous and what rings true, and you know what I mean, like that's hero stuff right there, you know. So I appreciate it, everyone that's been willing to be my friend through all of that, and you know, sees who I am and who, you know, I'm trying to be. It's it's beautiful. I'm really grateful. So and I won't forget that, you know what I mean. um, and yeah, it's cool. So I'm officially like happy with being on Big Island, and I still want to go back and look for meteorites in Arizona. I've got my RV waiting by my grandma's in Utah, and um, I plan on exploring the world. I want to see the pyramids, all that. But yeah, it seems like I still have work here to do and opportunities that I just cannot pass by. Like, it was just like so perfect. You wouldn't even believe it. I was just like, what? Like the loss I took on my land just to get out of there. Um, this new opportunity, like, he offered to sell me the property for such a good deal. He like I said, the lady passed, so he's got, you know, he's put a certain amount into it, and he offered it at a price that would be a profit for him still, and it would still be like 1/3 of its real value. And he's got this place that's already like more than halfway built, which is like already like, whoa, dude, like it's so cool. Like, and the neighborhood is like, oh, Bubbles, it's quiet, and I've stayed there a few times, and Bubbles can roam free, not on a leash, and I can have events there, and it'll be amazing. So I like this idea of the comedy church, you know, to show that that's really what unites us, is being able to laugh together. And so I feel like I'm gonna do what feels right, and so I'm gonna be here a little while longer, and it's just gonna be like a miracle in itself, seeing how fast people like wanna come and be a part of it and help with the construction, with teaching, and using our comedy as a teaching method, right? So it's like, get your skit together, but think of a topic that you want to teach people, and then how would you make that funny? So it actually makes it easier for the comedians to decide, right, what their set is going to be consisting of, and yeah, we can make it as fun as possible, and so yeah, it feels really good. For it's been a while now that I felt like I was just like, what do I do with myself? I've got all these different directions I could go, and for once, and like, I mean, dude, really, the first time in my whole life, it feels just like this is what I was meant to do. So I don't know. 105 days left to the election. I don't think we could get it all together. You know, I guess I was just saying that it might feel like it's too late, and I see a lot of support building up for Kamala, and My new opportunity feels really important, and just going like gung ho, swooping in. It'd be really stressful on my body and my mentality. And I feel when I saw her speech the other day, I was like, wow, dude, she's very good at public speaking. She's ready for the job. Um, and you know, like she changed a lot of her views since like a few years back when she was debating. I was really worried about a lot of the things she was saying, and I could see her, well, like she said about Trump, his type, her type is also kind of in the controlling category. Um, and that's right. I mean, that's how a lot of the Republicans see the left, is that they want to have laws about everything, and they want to take our guns and all this stuff. And um, she pretty much made it clear that yeah, they're coming for the guns, and she is about the. Um, I mean, she was a prosecutor in California, and she's put a lot of people away for drug offenses. And so, personally, I have done time as a youngster. I did a year in Humboldt County, thinking I was doing the noble thing. I took a charge for so my girlfriend could get out that day. And even though she was throwing a little, fit control tactic on me for things not going her way, and that's what got us arrested, I still was, the one who was more into smoking weed and trying mushrooms, and, you know, so I felt like I kind of got us in trouble more since the charges were more my fault, but like she's the one who told the cops that we had them. And the drug war itself is just you, you, these are people that need help. They need, you know, like they were looking to find like a spiritual connection to this like insane societal combination that they're forced into. Like they're forced to participate in this game. It just feels wrong. It feels like from our heart, it feels like something, you know what I mean? So like to me, I look at the shamans of the Native American tribes, the medicine men. They were using plants from nature, and seeing what the plants had to teach them. And right, so like psilocybin and muscarine might have been represented with the amanitas with Santa Claus and reindeer poop. I don't know, dude. There's a lot of correlations and possibilities that would explain how certain retellings of history, like you know, my interpretation might have lost the actual ingredients in a lot of these the properties of these gifts from God that have been given to us. So people end up abusing, right? Um, the stuff that feels good. So, like, I mean, drugs feel good, they abuse it, and then they're doing harm to their health and become um, desperate to be able to continue to feed that, um, you know, what becomes an addiction. Um, just like any addiction, there's just like you have to find a way to continue to satisfy that the spike in dopamine or whatever it is you're after. And so like eating can become a drug. Scrolling on the internet can become a drug. Um, People get addicted to bullying, to all sorts of, like addiction is a very real psychological issue we should address. And you know, locking up our youth in cages is not solving that problem. And so I learned, I did time, and they're just, pretty much jail is just like going to school on how to be a criminal and how to, dude, they enforce racism in there, and I just couldn't believe it, dude. It was really hard for me to make it through the year that I did. I didn't, you know what I mean? People were like making fun of my ponytail and telling me I wouldn't make it a second in prison, and it's probably true. But I had some, and I eventually I fit in with Native Americans, and I was, by the time I left, I finally felt like I found my people. But at first they were just like, you're just a white boy, whatever. But I finally showed Gary Hill a picture of my mom and my sister, and he was just like, oh, whoa, dude. You know what I mean? I'm like, it turns out I'm 33% Native American. And it's not just 25. So I'm a nature, right? I look at myself as like a human that's more evolved towards the natural state rather than the whole order of, however. Uh, and I just, the Spanish Inquisition and all the destruction and all, they destroyed the Inca science and they covered it up. The church, like the Catholic Church erased the truth. And, I've got to, find a way to make that right, So I'm excited. My life is quite a movie so far. You wouldn't even believe how many miracles I've seen, and it's just, I mean, right? The orbs and it would just have to be like conspiracies and all these things that have happened to me. It's just like, I don't even know what to make of it. I can't even explain what has happened to me in this lifetime. It is just, it's out there. So, anyway, I just wanted to say, like, I'm not, I thought I could do it. I, I, I might still even be able to. And it might be very important that I was, you know,